Pardon me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin. I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a pastor, doctor. I got a 6 sense for imposters. So now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose track, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame, cause I break the chain. Can't control me. I got the power.
Welcome to Talkin VAWLS Live. My name is the Indie Kid.
I'm Dauber. What's going on?
Rocking and roll, man. How about yourself?
Watched a little bit of, I guess you'd call it basketball. At least I did some new things tonight. Tried to get the ball in the paint, score some buckets closer. Still struggling on offense. Still grinding. But we'll get into that.
Yeah. Tennessee 66, South Carolina 46. Hey, man, it's a win. Good second half by this team. Defense, excellent tonight. Offense lacks a lot to be desired. And I think there's a lot of talking points from the week and even going back to the weekend and going off tonight's game. But Tennessee moves to just had it up here and I should know it. 2-2 in conference. South Carolina drops to 1-2 in the conference. Right now, that puts Tennessee all alone in 6th place by themselves on the year. Obviously, early in the season, 2-2, long way to go in conference play. But just another slow start out of the gate. Got down 8-2. Then they kind of turned things up a little bit. This team is just struggling offensively. We've seen some guys start to hit a little bit tonight, but, I mean, still we're looking here. Too many three-pointers. They're just, like you said, they're moving it in closer. Only 21 tonight, 7 out of 21, 33% tonight. But, man, this team, let's see, 40 rebounds. That 1 rebounds by 2. Again, this team is winning off of their defense. We talked about the last time defense. I said what I meant, and I'll clarify it, that defense doesn't win. You got to be able to play defense, but you also got to be able to score. Can this team beat the upper echelon of the SEC?
I mean, when they play to their full potential, I think they can. You've seen that in a few of the games. You know, the game against Arizona. Arizona is one of the best teams in the country, and they came out and, you know, ran them out of the gym to start the game, and I think that's what won them that ball game. Arizona was reeling because they battled back. You know, I did, like I said, leading into the show, they did do some things that were a little different tonight. I think they intentionally started off trying to get the ball inside, forcing it to Kamwa a little bit. You know, getting a couple good looks down low, and what that results in, trips to the foul line. Of course, we've already had some people in the chat talking about not hitting their foul shots. 11 of 25. So yeah, you know, that's you got to hit those gimmies. But
the funny thing about that is they were 9% higher than South Carolina was from the free throw line.
But that's way more than they're averaging going to the line. I mean, you're talking. I think they've had games where they've shot under 10 free throws.
Going into LSU, they were averaging 13, I think, 0.2 attempts per game.
And that just shows you that they're settling. They're settling for shots. And one point that I want to make about the very beginning of the game, and I've read a lot. After Barnes's comments towards Fulkerson post LSU game, a bunch of people, well, why is he making these comments about Fulkerson? What about other guys on the team? What about Josiah Jordan-James? Which, yeah, I mean, there are some other guys that also are not delivering. But you look tonight, first 5 minutes of the game, James puts up 2 poor 3-point attempts. Quick, bad shots, missed them both. He gets yanked. Ziegler comes in. So I think that I think Barnes is, I guess, slowly making some adjustments. It looks like they were making efforts to get the ball inside. It seems like he's holding some other guys accountable for poor execution or poor shot selection. And rightfully so. These guys are upperclassmen. They should be leaders on this team. And, if they're going to come down and just throw up a bad shot, what's it show to these other guys, these young guys that, they should be mentoring and bringing along? I don't know. But back to what you said. Can this team play with the upper echelon teams? I think they can when they're playing well. And they have to be hitting shots because your defense can only do so much. And that's what won them the game against Arizona was the defense, because the offense, it tailed off and tanked after running out the gates so hot. And Arizona battled back because that's what good teams do. When they start off poorly, they battle back.
Well, we're going to find out Saturday as Tennessee goes to Lexington and plays Kentucky on Saturday. Last I saw, Kentucky was thumping Vanderbilt tonight in Nashville. Always a tough game when you go to Lexington. Tennessee has had some luck there recently, but, we'll see. I think it's going to be a tall task, even if this team is playing at its best. But this is a team right now that they've won a couple games recently. Wasn't pretty. Definitely Ole Miss wasn't pretty. Lucky to win that game. Again tonight, good second half, but something's missing. Something's just missing. This is such a stagnant team. It's an abysmal offense. And, again, some guys got going tonight. Just look at the box score here. Let's see what we got. Of course, it's going to be slow. I'm stuck on team stats. Look at 11 out of 25, 44% from the free throw line. Whew. But let's see. Kamwa, 6 points, 4 boards. Fulkerson, 10 and 7. Decent game. Vescovy, 14, 5 and 3. 2 out of 9 3-pointers. Too many. That is way too many 3-pointers. And he has some good looks, too. Chandler, 8 points, 5 boards, 3 assists. Josiah Jordan-James. These are the type of games you need out of him. 11 points, 12 boards, 3 out of 6 field goals, 2 out of 4. Interesting stat earlier in the game. Some of you guys may have seen it, may not. They said that, what is it here recently? Like 3/4 of James' attempts have been from 3-point range. He's not a 3-point. I mean, he's 2 out of 4 tonight.
Settling.
He's settling. The guy's build in his game, he should be a creator. They refer to him point forward. I agree. He should be a point forward, a guy creating, a guy getting to the basket. He can get in and do some things with his size, his length, and he doesn't. He settles. Right. Did a video on this over the weekend, and I compared this team and their offense to the last year under Jeremy Pruitt and how they just looked scared. No, everybody's scared other than Vescovy. He hasn't seen a shot he doesn't like, Vescovy, and it's good to have that mentality. So many guys are just scared to make a play, and this is a year. I'm going to have a talking point here in a few minutes, but I feel that this team, I don't know that a single player is progressing. If anything, they're regressing. this year. Again, happy with the win. Good second half. Hopefully they can build on that, but they're going to have to bring it Saturday. But
I don't know. I'll throw you Uros and Kamwa. I think those two guys are playing much better. But they're role players. So, you know, I will agree. Your starters, you know, and I guess you can lump Kamwa in there, but your main guys, the guys that you're expecting production out of, they're not consistent, and that's what is so troubling about this team. You don't have it's. You know, the problem that they've had the last couple of years. Who's the alpha? Who's the man on the team? And we've talked about that. You know, since the beginning of the season. You know, you'd hope Chandler would step up. Kind of hard for a true freshman to do that. So you have, you know, Fulkerson. Ideally, you know, your fifth-year senior guy coming back, played his way into preseason All SEC selection 2 years ago, and then had, you know, the COVID year and a really down season production wise. But you know, he's a face of the team. You got Vescovi, who, you know, like you said, I think he does give it his all, and you know, he's out there playing hard, but I think there is just a little bit lacking talent-wise to that level, and I don't know if there's you know, lost in translation. You know, maybe it's hard to tell. You know, there was a lot of international flavor to the team a couple years ago with Pons and Vescovi and all of that. So, you know, maybe that's why he's not as vocal with the rest of the team. Just
I don't know. It's
hard to say.
It is. And before we go any further, William Hughes, new member of the channel. Thank you, William, for joining the channel. You can get all the latest updates, notifications. You got access to custom emojis as well. But thank you. We appreciate that. As football shows are on hiatus right now, unless there is the need to go live. We're a basketball channel right now. We're pulling our hair out, pulling for basketball this year. But talking point, and I'm going to probably rile the chat here and get things going.
I'm on the edge of my seat. Bring it.
All right. So a point that's not made. So Rick Barnes is not on my Christmas card list right now. And let's see, John Hill, $4.99. I think I missed that earlier, John, or no, I did not miss it. You just put it. Thank you, John, for $5. Thank goodness for the second half. Cannot agree more. That one, because it was going to be a tough one, tough show, and not that it's not going to be some stuff anyway. But
well, that's a key. And like I said, alluding to the Arizona game, what is it they say? The first 5 minutes of the game, the last couple of minutes of the first half, the first couple of minutes of the second half, and then the end of the game. That's the most important chunks of the game. Then, you know, you got the middle. But the thing with this team is the consistency. And it's they go from, you know, on fire to start the game, and then they'll go through a drought where they can't hit anything, or they go through a drought and they're trying to dig themselves out of a hole like they found themselves in Baton Rouge last weekend. So,
all right. So the bone I'm going to throw here, and again, I think Rick Barnes is. I mean, it's hard to say that this is going to be a tournament team. Listen, I appreciate Rick Barnes, what he's done for this program. He dug it out of, you know, somebody on video they said, oh, you know, basketball will be back to football if you don't watch it. Basketball was in rough shape when Rick Barnes took it over. He has turned the program around. He's got it on solid footing right now. But a funny thing to me, and I got to thinking about it with how, and maybe it was a different breed of players he had when he had Bone, Grant, Schofield, and those guys. They were developing It seemed like a real camaraderie, a real chemistry, and things of that nature. Bowden, all those guys. But when those guys left, Rick Barnes, had it not been for UCLA not paying a buyout, he was gone to UCLA. Ever since that moment, he played his raise, he played his extension. He has not earned that. He's not earned it. He's not done his job in Knoxville. Guys are not progressing. Guys are not developing. And we're seeing stagnant offense. We're seeing stellar defense, but I'm sick and freaking tired of hearing about defense down there. Tired of it. Where's the offense? Where's the creativity? Where's the change? And, I want to see Rick Barnes, and I know he handled it with Fulkerson prior to going with the media. He is a class guy. He's a stand-up guy. He's not going to do it behind anybody's back. He knows what he's doing, his relationship with him and Fulkerson. But by God, Rick Barnes himself either needs to step it up or step it out as well, because there's a long way to go in this season. And I may look like an idiot for saying this now, and I hope he proves me wrong on it. And again, I like him. I'm not happy with his coaching this year, but I'm tired of seeing him throw other guys under the bus, yet I've yet to see him or hear him take 1 ounce of accountability. And Nick Saban last night took accountability. If that guy can take it, you can bet Rick Barnes' ass better be taking some accountability as well. And the fact that we're watching young guys, we're probably going to see a mass exodus of transfers at the beginning, end of this year again. Do we want to keep going through this every year because he's coaching them hard, or is something going to give? I mean, we're holding some guys to these levels that you're not holding other guys to. I mean, I understand veteran versus young guy, but man, these young guys do not have a prayer outside of 1 or 2 of them. They get in, make one mistake, they're out and done.
Yeah. It's hard to disagree with you. We have questioned some of his coaching decisions, particularly the rotation and clock management. Just calling a timeout when they go on this skid and all they're doing is going down and hacking up threes. You're the coach. Call a timeout. Either get somebody in there that's going to do something different, or call a set play. Do something. But you can't. My biggest gripe. Look at him compared to some of the other coaches around the country on the sideline. Where's he at most of the time?
In his chair.
In his chair. You got the assistants up and down and, all down the sideline. But, man, a lot of these other coaches are up and, it takes a lot for him to get up and get in the official's ear. And, I mean, you can coach from the chair. That's fine. But coach. Because every time it pans there and he's just sitting there, it's like he's letting the guys play it out, and they look lost sometimes. It's like they're looking for direction.
I think there's a lot of times, where key points you mentioned on that. Timeouts, droughts, funks. LSU other nights, like, when are we calling timeout? Then, it was finally – I don't know. It was just a ridiculous run on that.
Too big of a hole to climb out.
Yeah. Yeah. And, some guy, I think there's some debate going on about Chandler. Chandler is gone after this year. But it's a very similar stance to Springer and Keon last year. Those guys were lottery picks, top 10, everything. Both of them fell. And same thing's happening with Chandler right now. And the last I've seen on a mock draft, he's around 20 or so. This is a guy that was an easy lottery pick, and now he's back to 20.
And it seems weekly he's kind of dropping a peg or two. I don't know. He's definitely had moments where he's looked elite and every bit of that caliber player, but he's also shown moments where he's played like a true freshman.
You need, I mean, I mean, it's different. No matter what offense you run, you got to find the parts. You got to find the parts to go with it. I kind of liked what they had in the offseason, but man, I didn't see. I thought they had built it. I don't know why I expected it. I was excited about these young guys, especially the big guys they were bringing in. And these guys can't even get on the floor.
You don't see them on the floor.
Or it's minimal. Never see them on the floor. You know, a Justin Powell, a guy who last year at Auburn was averaging double-digit points, about 5 rebounds, assists. It's like, man, this will be a good guy to go in this. I mean, even when he does see minutes, he won't shoot. He's scared to shoot for getting pulled out because he may breathe wrong on defense. And he's not a good defensive player. But, you know, sometimes you've got to, I don't know. I mean, do you want a guy in who can play defense and can't score, or do you want a guy in who can't play defense and can score? Pick your poison on that. I mean, this team's motto and their method is they're going to win games based on defense. It just is what it is.
But then you look at the rotation that is thrown out there sometimes. There was a stretch tonight where you had Vescovi, Chandler, Ziegler, Uros, and Kamwa. So you're giving up a lot offensively right there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the deal is. I mean, it was like this last year. Of course, you had, you know, your main young guys are Chandler and Ziegler that play. Other than that, I mean, you see Meshack for a bit of time. You see Huntley Hatfield for a bit of time. I just don't get that one. And he gets asked it every week, and it's always, what's up to Huntley Hatfield and his effort and stuff. I mean, the guy's got to be disgruntled. I mean, you go down to Alabama and you have a good first half, but then, he gets lackadaisical. We don't put him back in. And, you know, like you said, I do give credit to guys like Kamwa and Uros. They have improved. They're solid players. But you made this comment in live show number 1, and I still agree with it. These guys have improved. I like what they've done. But if these guys are a major part, they're relied on heavy, you're going to have a rough year. And that's nothing against them. They've improved. They've gotten better. I don't know. I want a more dynamic guy in there. I don't know enough about Jonas Adu right now, but apparently he had mono. He was out. So I guess the fact that he's had mono and missed the preseason, there's no chance of him working his way back. Hopefully he'll take his red shirt and come back next year, but I don't know that you see Huntley Hatfield back. I mean, that's whether he goes and maybe signs a 2-way deal in the NBA, whether he goes to the G League, whether he just flat out transfers. I don't know, but there's probably going to be some coaches who would love to have that and get something out of them along the way.
Yeah, I mean, my whole thing is he seems to be a bit more athletic than a couple of the guys that are getting consistent minutes. Why not roll with him? Let him develop. I don't know. It's just there are some real head scratchers that make you question Rick Barnes. And like you said, I mean, is he just going through the motions after getting that raise and extension? I mean, I'd love to see him. You know, don't get me wrong. Rick Barnes the man has forgotten more about basketball than I'll ever know.
Same here.
He's a great coach, but at the same time, he's an old school guy, and sometimes seems to be a little stuck in his ways. And you know, you look at the football program and where it went, and how being stuck in the times um, really hurt the team, and kind of passed the program by. You see what a little bit of new life and change brought the team this season. Um, and that's, I know the last time we were live, we kind of got into it, offense versus defense and all this and that. The whole landscape of college basketball has changed to it's an offensive minded game. It's about scoring buckets. I mean, you look at the NBA, they don't play a bit of defense. You're averaging, 115 points a game. And you may not even win the game scoring 115. It's ridiculous. But that's, you got guys spotting up from, the circle, the half court circle, and draining threes. And then all these kids are emulating it, and the step back three is like the favorite shot. It's not about, the baby hook or, powering it in. And I think that's why you got a lot of guys, specifically looking at this team, that can't finish at the rim, that can't play through the contact. Tonight you had guys, going in transition for a layup, and can't play through contact to put one off the backboard and in. That's an old school part of the game, and you'd think an old school coach like Rick Barnes would be pounding that into their head. Get the ball in the paint, let's get it in the bucket. But it's live by the three, die by the three.
It is, and there's different offenses out there that are built like that too. I talked about Alabama during the game, how it was how Nate Oates said one guy's goal was to shoot mid-range, said the rest of them was either, I guess, basically a layup or a three-pointer. But depending on the offense you want to run, you've got to have the personnel to run it as well. He doesn't have the personnel to run what he wants to right now, and that's again, he went out and rebuilt the roster, but we're seeing guys. Granted, this is, again, not in the SEC, but we're seeing Devontae Gaines looking like a heck of a player at Mason.
Yeah.
Drew Pember's playing good ball at UNC Asheville. Anasicki, who looked awful last year, is out in California. And again, this is an SEC competition. I get it. But, these guys don't look so bad when they've gotten away out here.
And that's my point with Huntley Hatfield, with Meshack. How can they be that much worse? I mean, they're athletic as heck. How can they be much worse than some of the options that are out there? But they're not getting the time to play and develop, and learn.
Yep. Got a couple super chats. A Pro Wrestling Guru. Looks like we good thing we watched the game. NXT probably wouldn't have been a bad alternative tonight, Pro Wrestling Guru. But fun fact, Barnes is 16-45 post Grant Williams and has a losing record in the SEC. Interesting. And that next year after losing Williams, the COVID year, was that was a struggle. Now, again, we talked about that season before. When Lamonte Turner went down, that was just a huge loss. But still, there was the fact there was no depth, and Vescovi come in early and was immediately thrust into the starting role.
Well, and you had prior to him, you had Josiah Jordan-James trying to run the point, playing out of position, and I think that really put a funk in his game, and it's really kind of lingered there. The kid came in as a 5-star, as a really high level recruit, and has been one of those that you keep waiting for him to kind of break out, and he'll have a game or two here or there, but it's not where you'd think that somebody rated that high would be consistently.
Yeah, there's a few instances of that right now as well. And so thank you, Pro Wrestling Guru. John Hill, $5. We're going to have to search for a new coach sooner than later. Barnes getting pretty old, 67, may not be now, but I think at the max 3 years.
Well, that's if I'm
and
not
God
mistaken,
forbid if this doesn't improve, I can't take 3 more years of this offense.
if I'm not mistaken, I think he's got 3 years left on his contract.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could see him playing out the contract and retiring. I mean that ideally that's what you want to have happen, because if he gets canned, that means that there's bad issues going on.
I don't think it'll come to that with Can. I don't. I mean, if he's getting them to the tournament,
Yeah.
which he will this year, I feel confident he will. I don't know that. And again, I mean, it doesn't matter how you're playing on January 11th. It matters in March,
Right.
getting in. But and sometimes, we've seen other Tennessee teams kind of struggle at times and then play their better ball late in the season. We've seen vice versa as well. Interesting one here. Aaron Brown says Powell played 19 minutes, 0 points, 2 boards, and a turnover. Powell just doesn't look like the same guy earlier in the year. Guy looked like he had confidence earlier in the year. He just looks like he has none now.
Well, but you also look at the style of basketball Auburn plays and the success that he had there. A fast-paced, up-tempo, push the ball in transition, kick it out. This team struggles to find transition points. And they don't.
They were playing a fast style to start the season, and then Villanova happened, and they changed.
And it's funny because they're geared for that. You got Chandler and Ziegler, who they're like lightning in a bottle, but they don't want to get out and run. And they're dreadful in a half court set. It's lack of creativity, lack of movement. Honestly, like Rick Lee says, they're a poorly coached team. I think it does reflect on the coaching, because we've been on it for a couple weeks now about how stale the offense looks.
Maybe it's a case of everybody is just in a slump at the same time. But what
are the odds?
There's no sign. Yeah, I know. I totally agree. It's just there's no signs of any change. There just isn't. And again, I thought the first year when this team was more up tempo, I thought it seemed like that fit what this team wanted to do. Especially, I mean, think about that North Carolina game.
Mm-hmm.
They looked strong. They played up tempo. They were moving. Those Ziegler and Chandler, awesome. That game was probably their best overall game of the season, even better than the Arizona game. I think because they run North Carolina out of the building.
Well, and that was a day after getting worked over by Villanova. They looked. You go from your probably worst showing, well, maybe until Texas Tech or maybe LSU, to playing probably your best game in a bounce back game against a good North Carolina team.
I just don't see how on offense with either Chandler and or Ziegler to point, Vescovy and Powell, how you couldn't put those two out wide, and then whoever you want to run at the 5, whether you want to run Fulkerson, whether you want to run Euros, Kamwa, Josiah, Jordan James, whatever. It just, I don't know.
Well, I tell you, part of the reason is because nobody crashes the boards.
Yeah.
You got people hacking up threes and the 4 other guys standing there watching. Nobody's boxing out. Nobody's going to the rim to try to rebound. And that's another thing. Early in the season, offensive rebounds were a lot higher. You look at tonight, they had 12. I mean, that's not bad, but you want to have that number up there because you want second chance points. I mean, unless you're just hitting every shot you take, which tonight, shooting 43%. If you're shooting a couple clips over 50, that I think that's fine to stand and watch. But man, I know that, and I keep going back to it. I played rec ball. I didn't even play school ball, but in rec ball, I had coaches jumping me. Get in there, box out, get the rebound. And they weren't even getting paid to coach.
Yeah. I mean, I just think so let's see, when he hit Joel Certain. Joel just now a member? I thought he would have been a member by now, but thanks for joining, Joel. We appreciate you. Of course, you'll get all the latest updates, emojis, and those things. So thanks again. Thanks for your generosity time and time again. We really appreciate you. I think it still goes back to this point, poorly coached team. That's what it all has to circle back to. And again, I mean, guys got to have some accountability along the way, but they're just I mean, they just are what they are. And, a lot of the times, I didn't mean to call you out here, but they do miss a lot of open threes, though. I mean, so maybe it's just so frustrating because
when you've hit 7 of 21, you stop taking them.
Yep. I mean, again, it goes back to, I said this earlier, Vescovy, 2 out of 9. How many games has he been like 3 out of 13 and 14 and 3 out of 12? So, all right. So we know, bud.
We did.
We know they won. Okay. We are aware of it.
They got boat raced by 20 last game. You play like you played against LSU, against Kentucky, they'll lose by 40.
Yep. We're analyzing the game, guys. Yes, we're happy how the game ended. There are problems with this offense. They're going to show out against Kentucky on Saturday if something doesn't change. That's a good team they're going up to play, and it's at Rupp. Yes, they won last year. Still don't. Well, because you had 2 freshmen that decided they were going to be the alpha last year while the rest of the guys sat around and watched them. And then they're probably going to need something similar this year. So, Tennessee should beat South Carolina by 20 in Knoxville. South Carolina's not a good team. And, again, nobody's complaining about the win, but we're analyzing. This was an offense that struggled again tonight. 7 out of 21 from three-point range. You got to change something. 11 out of 25 from the free throw line. That's poor shooting. 33% from three-point range. Under 50% from the free throw line. I could shoot granny shots and hit that.
Let me throw this out there. If you don't want to say it's coaching, then it's execution. And if people aren't executing, who does that fall on? It falls on the coach for not putting them on the bench and putting somebody else in there that's going to make the plays.
I mean, at some point, I would love to see it showing that he's making them when they, especially like the other night at LSU, and I said it, that when they were on that, just nobody was doing anything. At what point do you make a point, pull off 5 guys? Can it get any worse at times?
I said that a couple weeks ago. I mean, it's at some point it reflects on the coaching. And, the Villanova game, we called out effort and hustle. I don't know that's really been the case any other games. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 guys here or there. But, as the coach, you're in charge of the lineup. You're in charge of the game. You're in charge of the flow. If something's not going right, you make a change. You call a timeout. You draw something up on your little whiteboard. it just feels like there's a lack of anything going. It's becoming stagnant, and I think it's bleeding off the bench onto the floor. Let's see. Jeff Puckett right here throws up a point. They practice defense and leave the shooting up to the individual to spend the time on improving shooting. I saw some pictures from practice the other day, and they were all crowded around and people were dunking. I hope they shot some free throws. Obviously, it doesn't look like it based on 11 to 25. I mean, like you said, Indy Kid, though, it's January. Hopefully we're kind of in one of these, and we're going to peak and be playing the best basketball come the end of February and into March. But there's a lot of tough games left on the schedule starting Saturday.
Yeah, it's about to get real, getting Saturday. And, maybe these guys will come out and bring – I do expect them to go up there and play tough. I think we'll see a better effort than we saw at LSU. The kind of mind-blowing thing at LSU's offense has not been very good. Tennessee's the number 2 defense, only behind LSU. And Tennessee's offense was bad. Or, I'm sorry, their defense was bad that game. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, guys. I'm just not seeing what makes me not confident. I don't see who's going to be the one to step up. I'm not seeing it because it's the same thing over and over. We'll get James has a decent game like tonight, and the next game, non-existent.
Doesn't show up, yeah.
Yep. Victor Bailey hit a couple shots tonight. I seen something. It was about a year ago, I think, when Tennessee played South Carolina. Bailey led Tennessee with 29 points that night. Yeah, I don't know if he's got 29 points on the year right now.
And he had a couple games of 18, 12, 15. But he's one of the guys that, specifically the Villanova game, that I think that put him in the doghouse because to just let a guy strip the ball and, not chase him into the backcourt and at least get a backcourt violation, just let him run and grab the ball and take a layup. I don't know. Victor Lockwood throws out, seems like Barnes doesn't have a feel for his team this season.
It's 2 years in a row.
Yeah. We questioned, the lineup and the rotation after the first 2 games because it seemed like he really wasn't ironing anything down. And then, said really want to kind of shore that up going into a matchup against a team like Villanova. And I still think it's kind of iffy, and he just throws some guys in there, and there's not really anything that's concrete, and nothing seems to be working either.
I feel like the rotation is kind of down to Chandler, Vescovy, James, Kamwa, Fulkerson, Euros, Ziegler. I mean, Powell's getting in, but Powell's not – he's just in. He's not contributing much, honestly. And then let's see, am I forgetting? I mean, you have your patented Huntley Hatfield gets 2 minutes like tonight. Meshack got 3. Victor Bailey got 9. I mean, I think that's kind of – Kamwa only got 10 minutes tonight. I know he got in foul trouble, but Ziegler 11 points to go along with it. But I don't know. It's just kind of mind blowing what they're doing, and there's a lot of head scratching going on as well. I just don't see. I think we're at the point in the year, and I don't know what goes on with Huntley Hatfield. I don't know if it's something at practice. There's got to be a reason. I don't know if it's a clashing of personalities. I don't know what it is. Maybe he's not giving the effort or whatever. I don't know. To me, when a coach is so focused on defense, you're stuck in the past. And again, you don't want to have a defense that, teams are just scoring at will on you. By no means. I mean, yeah, you want to have a strong defense. I think most coaches do, and you got to have some offense to go along with that as well. I mean, it's a good thing they can play defense, because if not, then it is what it is. Let's see what we got here. $50. Wayne Starnes. I'm going to hit it. Not trying to make anybody mad, but I'm not turning it down either. We all see the reaction. That's apparently OJ Films. And guys, thanks for all you listeners. You guys are here every week. But so we'll thank you, Wayne. Very, very generous of you. And let me find the clip here. Oh, man.
Money isn't everything. It's the only thing. And everyone has a price for the $1 Million Man.
Oh, man. But, yep. Thank you again, Wayne. Average defense, elite offense, better than average offense, elite defense. I'm in agreement on that one. I think you have to have a serviceable, good defense. But the fact that it's every game, their defense. Well, this guy plays it. Well, I pointed him out because he wasn't play defense. So,
well, I mean, it's the games that are tight, the offense does just enough to win, and the defense keeps them in it. I mean, the thing is, and we've had a couple guys say it's open threes. You can't tell me that 14 of the missed threes tonight were all open.
I mean, they missed some, but let's see here. Yeah, wrong answer. Yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of games they've missed open three. I didn't feel that they were just a lot of open threes tonight. I mean, there were some. I felt that they knocked some down tonight. But I don't know.
Well, it's the thing is, they're settling for a three. Give a ball fake and drive. Take a 12-footer, penetrate and then dish out. Give up an okay shot for a better shot.
I feel like the main guy who's built for that doesn't play that game, and that's James.
Yeah,
I just do. I like him as a player. I feel that he does bring a lot to the table. I feel he's a guy who can fill the stat sheet up for you. Man, I would love to see him in, and I'm not comparing him to LeBron. So nobody say I'm comparing Josiah Jordan James to LeBron, but just kind of a role like that where you can bring the ball up. You can drive. You can create, do those things. I think that's his game. And, he is a guy who can step out and hit the three occasionally. But I think the infuriating thing with James, it's not so much him, the player. It's so much like the last game at LSU. All he did was shot threes. And again, they made the stat that I can't remember the time frame on it, but like three quarters of his shots have been 3-pointers lately. And yeah, I could see him taking a few, 2, 3 maybe, but this team would be so much better with him creating. And, if guys, they kick it back out and they don't hit them, that's not his fault then.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, I just feel like there is more to that. And I think if I were the coach, and I'm not, and again, like you said earlier, Barnes has forgotten more than me. I said I think Chandler needs to be the alpha, but I also think James could be the guy who makes this team go just by playing that game inside out and not just setting it to 3-point line. I think that would make a big difference on this team.
Well, you look at last year, Josiah James led the team in rebounding. It wasn't one of your big guys. It was James.
12 again tonight. So, I mean, yeah.
He is probably one of your more athletic guys. He does have a bigger frame. And you just the rating that he had coming in, you expected more out of him at this point in his career. But
that's where go ahead and I'll hit that point.
But I think right now you he is what he is. You hope for his best. You get that every once in a while. More so than not, it's just kind of a pedestrian, considering where he came in. Let me throw this out here before it gets too wild, guys. We appreciate everybody in here. Keep it civil. Don't make it personal. That's what makes this show and this channel and all the interaction go. Is the fact that we can banter back and forth. Disagree, that's fine, but don't get hateful. Don't get personal.
This one's been brewing for 2 weeks, guys. It's about enough. For I hate to do it, but we might have to take a time out. So I agree. It's kind of ruining the chat right now. So guys, take a breather. We appreciate you and all, but we're at that point. Enough's enough. It's kind of messing up our flow right now. So I feel like I'm in middle school. I'm at school right now.
You at work? You at work?
Yeah,
right
I'm
now?
at work. I'm at work right now. So, I mean, going back to the whole five-star thing, that just, I know when James was coming in, the mock drafts for the following year, he was like top 20 pick projected. And each year it kind of drops. And now it's just, I think he can be an asset on an NBA team. Just depend, but playing his game. And, this is a good one. 2 out of 9. Awesome 3-point shooter. That's 20%, 22%. I like Vescovi. I've stated that numerous times that I like him, but I'm going to call it when you're shooting 2 out of 9, games 4 out of 13. There's got to be a point to where those 3-point shots aren't going.
Well,
it's just not.
I think that's a point where the coach says, hey, come take a seat for a few minutes. Put somebody else in. You got more guys that can have the ability to go off and shoot. If you got a cold hand, of course, we saw it the other day. Had a horrible first half and then comes out, plays pretty well to close the game and into overtime. Vescovi did. So,
yeah, I mean, and Barnes said it in one of his conferences. It's been within the last week. He said Vescovi and Ziegler. He said what you see in practice, you see it in the game. He said those two guys, their cardio is off the charts, and that's why you see some of the minutes that they play.
Right.
Vescovi kind of reminds me of an Emmanuel Ginobili. Used to play for the Spurs. Now, obviously, Ginobili was a heck of a player. I mean, I would have to say I think Vescovi's Tennessee's best player. I don't know. I think they could do more to help him out, though, because I think at times maybe, again, he hasn't made a shot he doesn't like, which you have to have that mentality. But that's where if you had a James who's creating from a point forward, Kennedy Chandler, I feel right now Kennedy Chandler can be doing more. Ziegler can get in there. He can get in. He's so quick. It's just he's so small. It's hard for him to, finish. But he can. They've got the pieces. I really do. There's talent on this team, up and down this team. I mean, we could list off what these guys' rankings were coming in, and it's pretty impressive. I mean, they had a top 2 or 3 class coming in this year, and you're seeing a couple guys contribute out of it.
Mhm.
My concern with this year, and that because I said I really think maybe Barnes' best teams with this group is a year or 2 away. Get some development and things of that nature. You're going to lose Chandler. You're going to lose Fulkerson after this year. Everybody else is eligible to come back, and I don't see why they wouldn't, although you've got to think some guys leave. And I thought maybe development, you bring in B.J. Edwards, I think is a nice pickup. Taller guy, can play, will be a nice pick. They're going to have to go to the portal, I think. But,
well, that's these fringe guys that are playing sparingly. They're going to look at guys like Pember,
Gaines,
guys that were in their position, were barely getting minutes and have gone elsewhere and are tearing it up.
Kim English was involved with some of these guys too.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's it's I hope it doesn't come, but like you said, it's the new age, it's the portal. We're not playing. We can move on. And Undying Voice, $5. Thank you, Undying Voice. Triple J can and should be the catalyst for our offense to run effectively. His size and athleticism to finish at the rim, but it's too shy. Totally agree.
Yeah, I think across the board for this team, that they all play timid at times. They all don't want to finish at the rim. They all don't want to drive and take that contact. They'd rather settle for, a somewhat open shot or a bad shot. I'm going to throw it out there. I think a lot of the shots they take are settled bad shots. Hand in the face, falling away. That's not a good shot. Yes, they do miss some wide open shots, and so does every other team. But the majority of the shots that they're settling for, with some ball movement or dribble penetration, you could get a better shot.
Yeah. Walker is at South Florida. Last I saw, he hadn't. Now, it's been a bit. He hadn't played any for them as well. But this Jonas Adu situation kind of reminds me of Corey Walker, because Walker, I think, was hurt or had something going on in the preseason, never played. Adu, mono and stuff, can't get on the court. I mean, he's got on sparingly. I mean, even a guy like Jabonje, we saw him. I was like, man, this dude had the build, can't get on the court. And, I feel there's a lot of forced looks as well. And times it's just like down trying to get a shot off at the end of the shot clock or just get some poor look. But
because the offense is stagnant. There's no half-court offense.
I think something – this is kind of off the wall a little bit, but going back to last night in the national championship before the game, they talked about Kirby Smart, and they brought in a psychologist for the team. These guys, this is not a confident team right now. And it is not a confident team. I think there's a lot of guys whose confidence is shaken. And when you hit slumps, that's what happens. And how are these guys going to respond for the duration? There's a lot of conference play left to be played. I mean, we're probably not even a third in the conference play right now. And so do these guys, do they pick it up? Do they get some confidence? I feel they need one good game where they're hitting on all cylinders to maybe get things going, and they just haven't had that. Since Arizona, I feel, and I even thought second half of Arizona, they almost let them back into that game because their offense got poor, and I don't feel that offense has recovered for it. Now, I know I've seen people say, well, Kentucky's go out rebounding pretty hard Saturday. I thought the same with Arizona, and Tennessee was actually handled the boards that night. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens Saturday, but I just I don't expect the offense to change. But gosh, there's got to be something to help these guys. I just feel, again, my comparison, I'll go back to the last year, Jeremy Pruitt. And I know it's apples to oranges, but just the guys, it just looks like nobody wants it. Other than Vescovy, he's the one guy I feel wants it. Other than him, I'm just not seeing it.
And listen, don't get me wrong. I didn't say just stop shooting threes and take everything inside. I know you've got to have an offense that is built to kind of spread it out, and you got to take some outside shots, but that's all this team seems to take. Last year it was mid-range shots. It took more mid-range shots than anybody in the country. You can't continue to go 7 for 21 or 2 for 20 something to start a game and then be in a 15, 20-point hole and expect to come back on really anybody in conference. You're in conference play right now, especially a road game. It's going to be tough. If you're shooting that poorly, as the head coach, you need to step in and make an adjustment. That's adjustments, in-game adjustments. That's something we talked about a lot the last couple of years with the football team because they did not make those. Rick Barnes is a way better coach than anybody that we've had football-wise in a long time. X's and O's, great coach, 700-plus wins. But it does seem like he's sort of mailing it in sometimes. That's my gripe. Hopefully Saturday at Rupp, they come out and everybody's hitting, and we don't have a Groundhog Day type show where we're talking about the same thing over and over again like it seems we're doing, because the identity of this team right now is a team that is struggling offensively, a team that is stagnant, a team that they don't create, they settle for shots.
Yeah, and this is interesting too. They're sitting at 62 Ken Palm. They've dropped about 10 spots just in the last week alone. So I think they were maybe at like 52, 54. So this is something that keeps dropping a little bit as well. But I mean, here's the deal. If they win and are up Saturday, I don't care if they win 10-9. They can, whatever. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do up there. And something Barnes has coached well against Kentucky. He's done good things. Now, last year in Knoxville, that's when the wheels were in motion. The wheels were falling off, and Kentucky come down and had their way with them. But they had that, big comeback earlier in the year where they were down. 2 freshmen brought them back. I want to see Saturday. We didn't see it against LSU, even though they did make a comeback. But I want to see somebody. I know Vescovy is not going to be afraid to try to do it. I want to see somebody else besides him want to be that alpha Saturday. I want to see somebody go up there and have some pride that we're going to get out of this. We're going, whatever we got to do, we're going to change it up, whatever. But we'll see. Tough environment. It's going to get real. Again, 66-46 tonight. Tennessee did win. Yeah, right. You're giving it. Sorry, man. Tennessee to win tonight, 66-46. We'll be back with you Saturday. Game is at 1 o'clock. We'll be at you post game. Ready to go. Hopefully, like you said, Dauber, and I agree. Hopefully, it's not Groundhog Day all over again. But thanks, guys, for tuning in. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. He's Dauber. I'm the Indy Kid. And in the words of Boogie Bentley, go Big Orange.